My name is Tyler. I'm 29 years old now. In the summer when I was 14 years old, my best friend and I experienced something at his house that we still talk about every single time we see each other. It was supposed to be a normal sleepover. It was supposed to be just video games and junk food and staying up late talking about nothing. But something changed that night. Something that made us realize we were in real danger. Something that we couldn't explain away. If you enjoy true scary stories that actually happened in real life, hit like and subscribe right now. And keep listening, because the moment we saw that figure standing outside his house will stay with me for the rest of my life. It was the middle of summer. The kind of summer where school had just ended and you felt like you had forever to just be a kid. No responsibilities, no homework, just freedom. My best friend's name was Danny. We had been best friends since 4th grade. We did everything together. We played on the same basketball team. We went to the same school. We lived only about 5 blocks away from each other. On this particular Friday night, Danny called me up and asked if I wanted to spend the night at his house. His mom was working the night shift at the hospital where she was a nurse. His dad was at the gym doing his evening workout routine. Danny said we could order pizza, play video games, and stay up as late as we wanted without anyone bothering us. I asked my parents if I could go, and they said yes. My mom dropped me off at Danny's house around 6 o'clock in the evening. Danny's house was a nice 2-story suburban home in a quiet neighborhood. His parents had lived there for about 8 years. The house sat on about a 1/4-acre lot with a fairly deep backyard. The backyard was surrounded by a wooden privacy fence that stood about 6 feet tall. On the other side of the fence, there was a small drop-off, and then the ground sloped downward. Beyond that slope, there was nothing but open space, and then eventually some wooded areas in the far distance. We went straight up to Danny's room on the 2nd floor. His room was typical for a 14-year-old boy. Posters on the walls, video games stacked on shelves, a television set up on a dresser. We ordered pizza from his parents' favorite place and settled in to play some games. We started with some racing games and then moved on to some shooting games. We were being loud and obnoxious and laughing the way that kids do when they have the house to themselves. Then around 8 o'clock we started hearing noises. They were faint at first, scratching sounds, then some slight banging. The sounds were coming from somewhere outside the house, or maybe from the walls. We didn't think much of it at first. Danny had a dog, a golden retriever named Max. We figured that Max was probably outside doing something, or maybe knocking things around in the garage. We kept playing our video games. We kept eating pizza. We weren't paying much attention to the noises. But then they happened again. This time, they were louder. The scratching was more pronounced. The banging was more deliberate. It sounded like something was hitting something metal, or something was trying to claw at something. The sounds were persistent, and they were getting on our nerves. Danny paused the game and said that we should go check on Max. We figured that maybe the dog had gotten into something, or maybe he was stuck somewhere. We went downstairs and looked around. Max was lying down right outside his parents' bedroom on the 2nd floor hallway. The dog was sleeping peacefully. He didn't seem upset or anxious about anything, so it wasn't Max making the noises. The sounds continued sporadically throughout the evening. Sometimes they would stop for a while and we would forget about them. Then they would start again and we would jump. We kept trying to figure out what they were. Maybe it was the wind hitting something outside. Maybe it was an animal in the yard. Maybe it was something mechanical in the house that we didn't understand. By the time it got to be around 10 o'clock, the noises had become more frequent and more pronounced. They were definitely coming from outside the house. We could hear them clearly now, scratching and banging, and what sounded like something being dragged across the ground. This time, instead of ignoring them, we decided to investigate. Danny went to his closet and grabbed 2 flashlights. He also grabbed a couple of kitchen knives from downstairs. He said that we should be prepared just in case. I thought he was being dramatic, but I also felt a little nervous. Why would we need knives? But Danny was serious about it. He handed me a flashlight and a knife, and we set out to search the house. We searched every room upstairs first. We checked his parents' bedroom. We checked the bathroom. We checked every closet. We didn't find anything. We went downstairs and searched the kitchen. We searched the living room. We searched the dining room. Every room seemed normal. Nothing was out of place. But the noises continued from outside. So we decided that we should search the backyard. Neither of us really understood how someone could get into the backyard since it was completely fenced in. The only gate was locked. The fence was too tall to climb over easily. And on the far side of the fence, there was that drop-off. It seemed impossible for someone to access the yard from that direction. We went out the back door into the yard. The night was dark, but not completely black. There was some light from a distant street light that filtered into the yard. We shined our flashlights around the entire perimeter. We looked under bushes. We looked behind the shed. We looked everywhere. The dog Max followed us around the yard. He didn't seem stressed or alert about anything. There was nothing in the backyard. I convinced Danny that we should check the front of the house and make our way round the fencing. Maybe whatever was making the noises was on the side of the house. So we went back inside and went out through the front door. The front yard was quiet. The street was peaceful. It was the kind of neighborhood where you could hear crickets chirping at night. We decided to split up. Danny went to the left side of the fence and I went to the right side. The right side of the fence bordered his neighbor's property. I walked along the fence line, shining my flashlight and looking for anything unusual. I didn't see anything. I looked for footprints in the dirt. I didn't see any. I listened for noises. Everything seemed quiet. Then I noticed that Danny wasn't responding when I called out to him. I walked over to where he had gone. I found him standing perfectly still. His flashlight was pointed in a specific direction, toward the woods near the drop-off at the back of the property. His entire body was rigid. He wasn't moving. He wasn't saying anything. He was just standing there completely frozen with his light pointed into the darkness. I asked him what was wrong. He didn't answer. He just stood there, frozen. So I walked over to him and I looked in the direction that his flashlight was pointing. And that's when I saw it. There was a person standing in the darkness near the edge of the drop-off. He was dressed completely in black. Black pants, black jacket, black hood pulled up over his head. I could see his silhouette clearly in the beam of my flashlight. He was standing perfectly still, just standing there, watching us. For a moment, time seemed to stop. We were looking at him and he was looking at us. It was a moment of pure recognition. This wasn't an animal. This wasn't the wind. This was a person. A real person standing on the other side of that fence, watching us in the darkness, dressed in all black. I yelled, "Run!" It came out as a scream. Danny and I didn't hesitate. We bolted immediately. We ran back toward the front of the house and then toward the front door. We ran inside and slammed the door shut behind us. We locked the door immediately. Our hearts were pounding. We were both breathing hard and shaking. Danny grabbed the house phone and called 911. He explained to the dispatcher that there was a person outside his house, watching them dressed in dark clothing. The dispatcher asked him to describe the person. Danny told them everything we had seen. The dispatcher said that officers would be sent immediately. We waited in the living room for what felt like forever, but was probably only about 10 minutes. 2 police cars arrived with their lights flashing. Officers got out and one of them came to the door. Danny let them in and explained everything that had happened. We told them about the noises. We told them about the figure we had seen. The officers went outside with flashlights and searched the entire property. They searched the backyard. They searched the woods. They searched the drop-off area. They came back about 30 minutes later and told us that they had found no sign of anyone, no footprints, no evidence of anyone being on the property. They said that it was possible that we had seen a deer or some other animal in the darkness and mistaken it for a person. But we knew what we had seen. We knew it was a person. But the officers seemed skeptical. They told us to call them back if anything else happened. Danny's parents came home a while later, and Danny told them about the incident. They seemed concerned, but also a bit skeptical. His mom said that sometimes kids can let their imagination run away with them in the dark. That night we tried to sleep, but neither of us could really rest. Every sound seemed suspicious. Every shadow seemed to move. We stayed up until dawn talking about what we had seen. When the sun came up, it all seemed less real. Maybe we had been overreacting. Maybe our eyes had been playing tricks on us in the darkness. 2 weeks passed. 2 weeks of normal summer life. We hung out at school. We played basketball. We went to the pool. We did all the things that 14-year-old kids do. But that incident never left the back of my mind. I kept thinking about it. I kept seeing that figure in black standing in the darkness. Then Danny called me again. He asked if I wanted to spend the night again. I hesitated, but I didn't want to seem scared. I didn't want to avoid my best friend's house because of some weird incident. So I said yes. I told my parents that I was going to Danny's house for another sleepover. They seemed fine with it. This time, Danny's parents were both at work. His mom was doing evening shifts at the hospital. His dad was working late at his office. We had the house to ourselves again. We were joking around about what had happened 2 weeks ago. We were laughing about the incident that had terrified us. We were calling it funny now. We called it the hunter incident. We convinced ourselves that it had probably been a hunter from the nearby woods looking for deer or something. Danny's dog Max was outside doing his business in the yard. While Danny and I were talking and joking around, I went to the back door to check on the dog. I looked out through the glass door into the backyard, and my stomach dropped. There was someone standing on the other side of the fence. He was leaning over the fence. His head was visible above the fence line. He was looking directly into the backyard, looking directly at us. I didn't say anything. I just stared for a moment. Then I called Danny over and pointed. Danny saw him immediately. We both just stood there staring at this person who was standing on the other side of the fence, watching us in broad daylight this time. We immediately called Max back inside. We locked the back door. We didn't take our eyes off the fence. The figure didn't move. He just stood there leaning on the fence watching. We went upstairs to Danny's room, but we couldn't stop thinking about what we had just seen. We kept looking out the window. After a few minutes, I looked out and I saw him again. This time, he was still visible near the fence. But now, he seemed closer. He seemed to be moving. We grabbed knives and flashlights again. This time, we weren't going to just stand around. We were going to confront whatever this was. We went into the backyard and we shined our flashlights directly at the fence where we thought we had seen the person. The flashlight beam illuminated something. It illuminated the outline of a head at the fence line. A human head. Definitely human. Definitely a person. This wasn't a deer. This wasn't an animal. This was a person standing on the other side of the fence watching us in our backyard. We ran inside immediately. We ran to the phone and we called 911 again. We told the dispatcher that there was definitely someone outside the house. We told her that we had seen him multiple times. We told her that we were scared. The police responded much faster this time. Within minutes, there were 2 police cars on the street in front of the house. Officers got out and went into the backyard. They searched the area outside the fence. They looked in the woods. They looked everywhere. They came back and told us that they had found no sign of anyone. No fresh footprints, no evidence of anyone being there recently. But this time, they seemed more concerned. They said that they would sit in the area outside the fence near the woods for a few minutes in case something happened. We watched from the upstairs window as the officers sat in their cars in the area near the woods. We waited. Nothing happened. After about 5 minutes, the officers left. They told us to call back if anything else happened. This time, we didn't tell Danny's parents what had happened. We figured that they wouldn't believe us. We figured that they would think we were just being paranoid kids. So we kept it to ourselves. Danny and I went back upstairs to his room. We tried to act normal. We tried to play video games, but neither of us could focus. We kept listening for sounds. We kept looking out the windows. We kept jumping at every noise. Around 11 o'clock that night, we heard it. It was the loudest banging we had ever heard. It started from the downstairs on the left side of the house. It sounded like someone was pounding on the wall, or pounding on the siding. Then the banging moved. It moved from the left side toward the front of the house. It moved across the front of the house toward the right side. Someone was going around the entire perimeter of the house, banging on it, pounding on it, trying to make as much noise as possible. We freaked out. We grabbed Max the dog. We grabbed a knife from the kitchen. We ran upstairs to Danny's parents' bedroom and we barricaded ourselves inside. Danny went to his dad's nightstand and he pulled out a gun. His dad kept a loaded handgun in his nightstand for protection. Danny was holding the gun with shaking hands. I was holding Max. We were both terrified. The banging continued outside. It was going all the way around the house. The banging sounded like it was trying to force its way inside, like it was testing every part of the house to find a way in. We called 911 again. We told the dispatcher that someone was actively attacking the house. We told her that we were scared and we had barricaded ourselves in a room. The dispatcher told us that officers were being sent immediately and that we should stay on the line. We waited on the phone with the dispatcher. The banging continued for what felt like an eternity, but was probably only about 2 or 3 minutes. Then suddenly, the banging stopped. It just stopped. Complete silence. The police arrived about 5 minutes after it stopped. This time, there were 4 police cars, multiple officers. They searched the entire property. They looked for footprints. They looked for evidence. They looked in the woods. They looked everywhere. After about an hour, they came back inside and told us that they had found absolutely no sign of anyone, no footprints, no evidence of anyone being there, no marks on the house from the banging. It was like it had never happened. But we knew it had happened. We knew that we hadn't imagined it. We knew that someone was out there. Someone was targeting Danny's house specifically. The police officers seemed baffled. They asked us if we had done anything to provoke this person. They asked us if we had any enemies. They asked us questions about who we knew that might want to scare us. We couldn't answer any of them. One of the officers suggested that it might be someone playing a prank, but the way he said it, I could tell that he didn't believe that. No one plays a prank like this. No one pounds on a house like that just to scare kids. This was something more serious. The officers stationed an extra patrol car on Danny's street for the rest of the night. They told Danny's parents, who had come home by then, to contact them if anything else happened. That was the last time we ever had that problem. We never saw the figure again. The banging never happened again. The incidents just stopped. But to this day, more than 15 years later, Danny and I still talk about it. We still think about it. We still wonder who that person was and what they wanted. We still wonder what would have happened if the police hadn't shown up. We still wonder what he was doing out there. The worst part is not knowing. The worst part is that no one was ever caught. No one was ever arrested. We never got closure or explanation. We just know that for a period of time, someone was obsessed with Danny's house. Someone was watching us. Someone was testing us. Someone was trying to get inside. And we got lucky. We called the police. We barricaded ourselves in a room. We got help in time. But what if we hadn't? What if we had gone outside? What if we had confronted that person? What if we had been alone? What if there had been no adults around to help us? Those questions still haunt me at night.